What about social media? How do you feel about social media?
Oh, man. Are we going on a rant?
Has anything happened in social media this year?
Any certain platforms of interest? Anything happening?
Yes. Let's just say yes.
Path is coming back. Friendster?
Are there any social medias that people actually like? Like all you ever hear is complaints about social media, but we're all still on it, you know?
Generally, I like YouTube, mostly because it's not very much of a social media. It's really just like
it's more media than social.
Video. Yeah, exactly.
I think it's a spectrum, right? I think that's how I've described it before. Like at the most social side, you have in-person one-on-one with your friends, right? Real human-human interaction. On the media side, on the far other side, you have going to a movie, right? Or maybe even a play or something like that, where it's in person and it's live and it's the most entertainment you could get from another person. And so all of these platforms, I think, fall somewhere in between there, right? Where YouTube, I would say, is much more on the media side.
Yeah.
Whereas like Facebook, I would put much more on the social side. Like the values Facebook brings is the connectedness with the people. Love it or hate it. But that's what its theme is.
Definitely.
Right? I don't know where Twitter falls. It's kind of like I don't think of Twitter as like a social, like I guess it's social in the sense that there's a lot of connectedness as a part of the value proposition. But I never like, unlike Facebook, it's not like you're connected mostly with people that you're friends that you actually know, right? It's much more of like a social media platform in that sense of like you get to communicate and interact with a bazillion people that you don't know.
It's almost like a forum. It's almost as much of a forum as it is like a social and media. It's like almost all three. I don't know. Kind of like Reddit, you know?
Right, but with like less structure, right? Because you just post. I mean, I guess, I don't know, maybe there's like, I think there was like Twitter Spaces for a while or something. But yeah, Reddit's like you're in this thread, white people Twitter, and you're posting about whatever, right? Whereas Twitter itself is just like, blah. It's just
everything everywhere.
Yeah. I don't know. Maybe there's ways to organize the content, but it always seemed like a mess to me.
But it's okay. I mean, we're coming up on the end of the year. Elon Musk purchased Twitter in, I don't know, November or something.
Yeah.
How do you guys generally feel about the way that Twitter is going, maybe we'll say, and how do you feel about the way Elon Musk is going?
Oh, boy.
I'll start. I can start because
start.
I feel like I've actually, personally, I have to say, I actually kind of like the direction some of the things on Twitter are going. There's been some good corrections and fixes that, like, why hadn't they been taken care of in a long time? You know, things like working on bots. I am no longer seeing, you know, crazy amounts of bots. That's nice.
The
that was
Tim
really
Dodd
annoying.
Bitcoin scam kind of thing or
like
whatever.
Constantly. It was like, how is this? You could literally like click on that profile and they've only been posting the same thing within 2 seconds of people. It's like, this is would be the easiest thing to flag automatically. Like, how about if an account is only doing the same thing every single time within a second?
Well, isn't it kind of funny that
bot.
Isn't it kind of funny that the guy that bought the company is probably the one that has the most bots trying to spam people? Right?
Yeah, for sure. But so some of those things, and frankly, the transparency thing. Like, I mean, it's getting very political, obviously, as a lot of things are in life are political. I think some of that transparency is great. You know, I think that's actually.
I don't know what that is. What's transparency? I haven't been on Twitter in over a year, so I really have no clue.
Oh, okay. So they've been doing these Twitter file things where they release certain things that happened, like on the back end of the platform amongst employees, talking about like how to shadow ban people or what to do with certain circumstances. The biggest, most controversial one, obviously, is deplatforming Donald Trump, whether or not they should have, and yada yada yada. Or I guess maybe the first big one was whether or not to allow people to post a New York Post article or New York Times. No, I think it's New York Post.
New York Post is like Fox News. It's it's owned by Rupert Murdoch, I think.
Yeah.
It was, but it was an article about the Hunter Biden laptop.
Oh,
and how that literally got like banned. You couldn't direct message that article to anyone 2 weeks leading up to the election. I mean, there's stuff like that. Like, big decisions were made behind the scenes, and there was no transparency. And personally, I kind of do believe, like, if things are going to be, if there's going to be a cap on that kind of stuff, I would like to know about it. I'd like to be warned if I'm all of a sudden, lost my privileges to be able to use my Twitter account, like I would like a reason and a way to refute it, and I would like some transparency there. I would like that same thing for someone that I don't agree with. If they all of a sudden got wiped off the face of Twitter, I'd want to know why. How did they, what did they do wrong, et cetera, et cetera. So I think there's some of that stuff that I think is generally a good thing. I mean, a lot of the stuff, though, I think a lot of the stuff that Elon's doing with it in particular, it's kind of like, well, they've obviously had these conversations before. Like, it's not like these are novel ideas. How do we handle this? How do we try to reduce the bots? How do we, these are things that I'm sure people were working on. So I don't think it's anything like crazy. But that kind of brings me to, for me personally with Elon, what I like about Elon the most is when he's working really hard on, when he was working really hard on Twitter, on Tesla and SpaceX, it was really inspirational. There's a lot of hard engineering, a lot of problem solving, a lot of literally like new and novel and incredible things being done for the first time ever at scale. And it was really something to unite behind. And I never, ever heard him talk about, politics. I never heard him complaining about this or that, or any of that stuff. And I loved that. It was refreshing because I could just get excited about a product or a service or a thing or a mission. And that's all there was. And that united people. People got really excited about it. They changed their careers. They went to school to become an aerospace engineer or electronical engineer and work on these futuristic cars that are self-driving and, changing the climate situation and rockets to Mars and all this stuff. Like, yeah, people rallied behind that. And then, I just don't know. I don't know what happened where all of a sudden, everyone's free to their own, free to speak however you want, I guess, or whatever you want to say. But it's just, I don't care for it. I'd be feeling the same way if he was constantly saying things about things that I might agree with more potentially. If he's just constantly complaining about, or, making fun of, or, trolling anybody, it's just, I don't care. That does not unite anybody. It does not bring us together. It does not push humanity forward. Sure, do those things, do the things that he believes in on Twitter and wants to make more transparent or whatever that is. But why be insulting about it and, poking the bear with a stick constantly? I just don't understand where that's coming from.
Did you see he got booed at the Chappelle thing?
Yeah, I did.
That popped up for 5 minutes straight. Yeah.
And he used to be Reddit's 3 years ago, Reddit loved Elon. And then I think with the cave diver thing, that's kind of when it first started to go downhill. I don't know
that's when it started for me. Yeah.
And then all of a sudden, now Reddit is just the front page is every 3 things. It's getting obnoxious. Facepalm or one of them is literally just Elon, anything that Elon did that day. And it's yeah, I get it. You guys just don't like what he's doing now. And I don't personally like a lot of the things, but I don't know. That doesn't help anything either. None of this is helping. None of this is doing any good.
I think people would argue against that, though, that the wanting to cancel him, we'll say, all the people out there that really hate him and all that stuff, I think they would probably argue that they are fighting for what they believe is right and what he is doing is wrong. And so by saying not helping, I agree. You have two sides feuding over a thing here, but I think that would be the reason why someone would say that, the reason it's now the thing that's odd to me is the question of whether or not Elon does this intentionally or not. Trump, for example, who has a lot of the same characteristics. I always to me, I don't know if you saw recently, he posted something about suspending the Constitution, and that went viral everywhere. That happened to be the day after this big report came out that one of his companies got some $19 million grant from a company or something from the North Korean government. And so it was this mega scandal about while he was the sitting president, he was getting money from this adversarial nation. That should be a huge news story and should be everywhere. But no, he posted some really obnoxious, insidious thing, and the actual news, which could be important, completely got wiped over by his kind of dumb comments. And meanwhile, his followers, but I don't know if you saw his actual post where he's talking about suspending the Constitution, but the way he said it, I could absolutely see his followers, who many of my family are, could completely dismiss that, be like, "Oh, he wasn't serious about that." Oh, So the question with Elon is, so I think Trump does it intentionally, and I think he can play the media like a violin. Like, the guy is a master manipulator at the media.
That's his one true gift for sure. Yeah.
And anytime I see something popping up, it's like, oh, like you guys are playing right into his hand by making this the biggest.
They're gonna make money with that though too.
Yeah, but so I wonder with Elon, because there was, rewind the clock many years. Before Tesla was a major success, there was one of the things in the Ashley Vance book, which was a documentary, a book, biography about him. Elon had stated that he wanted a major news story to talk about Tesla every single week.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So he understands how to play the media as well. So the question now is what he doing? Is that just really authentically him, or is it him trying to play the media in some warped, weird game that maybe we don't understand, or maybe he's wrong? I don't know. That's I don't understand that part of it.
All I know is my least favorite thing about Elon has always been who he is on Twitter, and now he's Mr. Twitter.
So he's your least favorite thing.
Yeah, everything is my least favorite thing. And so remember, he's not the CEO of Tesla because he made that "I'm going to go private at 420" tweet and got in trouble with the SEC. This has always been something that got him in trouble.
Yeah.
And the whole reason he had to buy Twitter was because he was like saying he was going to buy it back in April, and then he got stuck with it, and it wound up being this horrible financial decision. So who he becomes on Twitter is consistently getting him in trouble, and he just seems to keep doubling down on it. And I've stopped being able to defend him.
So I have a different perspective, right? I used to work at Facebook. I remember when Twitter came out. I had friends that worked there, right? I actually helped several friends that used to work for me get jobs there. So I had more of an insider look into what Twitter was, and I've always thought it sucked. Like, it was never. I was like Facebook. I was like when it first came out. Remember there, and prior to that there was MySpace, and everyone was like on MySpace. And I remember being like, God, MySpace sucks. Every time you go to a page, it does this. Facebook came out. I was like, oh, this is finally great. I love the structure and the format. And then Twitter came out, and I just always remember being like, this is stupid. Who even cares about this? And I'm not alone, because Twitter is like arguably the worst social media platform. Like, maybe you could argue, and by worst I mean like least popular. Because what do they have, like 300 million users or something, right? And monthly active users, and YouTube has like 2 billion, right?
Yeah.
All right.
Did you know? Just to put things in perspective, I heard this stat the other day. It's wild. So maybe you guys have heard this. Do you know how long 1 million seconds is? 11 days. 11 days.
Oh, yeah.
Do you know how long 1 billion seconds is?
It's like 50 years or something.
31 years.
Yeah.
Right. So when you say like, oh, like YouTube, for example, having 2 billion more monthly active users than Twitter has users, like it's like Twitter's not even on the same planet. Right. That's like, well, there was a one time I got quoted in this article where me and Casey Neistat were at the same event, and the sentence was something like, and YouTubers like Casey Neistat and Ben Sullins, blah blah blah, and I was just like, I've made it, boys. Because we are on different planets, someone like that and someone like me, right? So Twitter has always been just kind of irrelevant, I think, in my mind. I know that the mainstream media really likes Twitter because it basically did their jobs for them for many years. Right. Like how many times have you popped open Fox News or CNN or something, and all they're doing is reading tweets? That's like their show.
And their articles are just, tweet links.
Right.
100%.
Right. So you kind of look at it. I guess it serves some value, but as far as a social media platform goes, I think it was easily the most irrelevant one, the least popular. So I remember
what I'm
when
saying, everybody hates it. Nobody's like, I love Twitter. You know?
Right.
I heard somebody the other day that was like, it's always been a garbage fire, but it was our garbage fire. And it's
I got to say, though, for me, like, I've actually really enjoyed, Twitter. I saw way more growth than like Instagram just as a social media platform because people can engage and retweet and there's a lot more discoverability for accounts that you wouldn't have found otherwise, as opposed to Instagram. Like nowadays, they try to push stuff into the home feed just so you see some new content, try to keep you engaged and discoverable and all these things. But that's what I always loved about Twitter, was like you could find like literally experts on certain things. I could find people talking about the Chinese space program, which is generally very hard to find information about. That's one of the best sources is a couple of Twitter accounts. It's been amazing for that type of stuff. But yeah, I mean, I still see a value. I think the platform still has a huge potential for
like there's a purpose there. I'm not arguing that. I'm just arguing it was always kind of like secondary, I don't know. Like I've never dated a girl that was like, oh, what's your Twitter? Right. It was always, what's your Instagram? Right. It's Twitter was always like, you're on Twitter. What do you like work at a university or something? Right. It was always like, oh, this is stupid. Anyways, I think that's all to set up to say, I think Elon buying it was like easily one of his dumbest moves. Right, if not the dumbest, especially considering the 44 billion, and having to sell multiple billions worth of Tesla stock. As an EV fan and someone that as much as I agree with you guys, and I absolutely, it's incredibly distasteful how he acts online and all these things. I 100% give him a huge credit for making EVs mainstream and for the team at Tesla and what they've done. So I never would take that away from him. And to me, that's the part I am most angry about, is that he is like not able to run Tesla or do anything at Tesla of significance because he's off doing this dumb shit. Like, and it's like, who cares? It's not even a popular platform. That's my view on it, I guess. So
when he first started talking about it in April, I actually thought it might not be the worst idea, because there was an article that came out in the Atlantic, I want to say, and it was about how why the last 10 years of American life have been especially dumb, and it was, or
Twitter.
especially stupid. But it was making, well, it wasn't specifically Twitter, but it was making the point that in the early days of social media, Facebook, Twitter, and all that, some really positive things were coming out of it. It was much more of a sharing pictures with family kind of thing or whatever, And then once they went public and they had a fiduciary responsibility to their shareholders to maximize profits, the algorithms became outrage driven. It became sensationalized. It became, we have to, get as many eyes on the platform as possible and use emotionally engaging content, which is usually the stuff that pisses people off. And that's when everything kind of went nuts and all the conspiracy theories went wild and everything. So I was like, look, taking Twitter private possibly and having the richest guy in the world owning it, who doesn't really need the money, and he was talking early on about making the algorithm crowdsourced and open platforms, so that the community could decide what parameters or what values they should organize the algorithm around. All of that, I was like, that's actually kind of interesting. But then he buys it for $44 billion. The company is only worth maybe 10. And now he's in the whole, Ben, I think you and I were talking about this, but the loans that he had to take to do this are going to be $1 billion a year in interest. And the company only makes $800 million a year. Right. And now they've lost half their advertisers because of all the chaos that's going on. And they don't want to have their ad right next to some, homophobic, thing or whatever.
Swastikas and stuff. Yeah.
Yeah. So they're actually losing money now, and they're going to have to the whole point of it actually being possibly a good thing has completely gone away, because now they're more stressed than ever to maximize profit and push outrageous content. And just the whole thing has just been and what you were saying just a second ago, Ben, I feel like, and this might sound alarmist, it feels like we're in late stage Elon territory. And it's I worry that all the stuff that we've been cheerleading all this time, all these hopes and dreams for the future that he's been building and doing such great things in, are at risk because of all these hijinks that are going on. And certainly his popularity in the world has gone down significantly,
Potential workforce.
Well,
divided in half almost.
What I mean, in the part you made there about like he could make, it's almost like when Trump got elected, it's like, well, let's see, and they're like, oh God, no. It was like kind of the same thing, like maybe he will make it better, and then he himself has caused a lot of those advertisers to leave. That's the difference. It's not like he came in and said, hey guys, okay, great. Hey, you've all been working here. I have a different vision for this. We're going to take it a different direction. I'm going to work with some guys, your teams. We're going to come up with some ideas and we're going to implement them. That's like what a sane, rational person would do, right? That was leading a company. No, he just went absolutely Kanye on this whole thing and just like gutted the whole thing, right? And then because of like firing the people that are there to help tamp down hate speech or whatever, the trust and safety team and all that, immediately advertisers are like, whoa, sorry, hey, can't touch this. Yeah. I don't know what you're going to do. And like he did that himself. That wasn't like a thought out team decision. You know what I mean? That was like a rash.
And when his reaction to that was, well, Apple must hate free speech.
Yeah. All the woke leftists are the ones. It's like, no, idiot.
Yeah. Actually, that is free speech. They're choosing to spend their money somewhere else,
Yeah. But to your point, I will push back on one thing you said, Joe, that the idea of crowdsourcing, well, I guess I'll push back on something Elon said about crowdsourcing the algorithm. To me, that sounds like a terrible idea. And I say that as someone that believes in our country. And the reason I say that is because you always hear people talk about we live in a democracy. And that's not true. We live in a democratic republic, right? So the republic part means that there are certain rules and certain parameters which we know to be true, right? Like the Bill of Rights is a good example, right? Things in the Constitution. So even in a true democracy, if you said she's a witch, burn her, and we all agreed, let's burn her, right? Like majority rules. So my fear would be if you crowdsource the algorithm, that's what you would end up with. Like just like when I worked at Facebook and I was naive and thinking, oh, if we just connect all the people in the world, we'll realize that we're all so much the same and we love each other. No, that was a terrible idea. It turns out
pretty naive. Yeah.
So that I would again, if I were at Twitter and Elon was coming and talking about this, I'd be like raising my hand going, no, dude, crowdsourcing this is stupid. We need to make sure that there are
still on the table. I don't know if that was back in April.
And
when he was
wouldn't that also allow for more exploits? Like if people know how the sauce is made, they can literally just be
exactly my point, right? Yeah. Like because. But I guess maybe if you had more human input, like I would argue, and you mentioned it a little bit about outrage media and how that took over. I don't think that was a person that did that. I think that was some really smart people that made algorithms that said, make this site more engaging. And they looked for signals as to what created more engagement, and human nature manifested itself. So I feel like
it is a reflection of our being emotional creatures and not rational and logical ones.
Right. So I think so I would say crowdsourcing or letting is a bad idea. I think there should be humans involved that say, here are the parameters, right?
Sure. I guess the reason I thought it was good was just like if you let the community choose the values as opposed to it just being monetary.
Yeah, sure.
For the algorithm.
But I think those people shouldn't be like us. Yeah.
Fair enough. But yeah, I get what you're saying.
Yeah. Have a whatever, have a set of rules, have a group of people that are smart that understand this. And the internet's old enough now I think we have people that have like worked in this field and studied this stuff. And even before that, you could look at like newspapers, right? Pulitzer versus Hearst kind of a thing. The what were they called? The yellow paper wars or something.
Yellow journalism.
Yeah, right. The newspaper wars, and it was credibility versus clickbait, essentially. Yeah. So even though the technology, the medium has changed, it's really the same thing that's been going on for I don't know hundreds of years.
And billionaires and captains of industry wanting to control and or own the media is nothing new either.
Yeah.
And this is just the digital 2022 version.
Well, where does it go from here, though? That's really the question. I think that's important.
Do you think Twitter goes back to the way it was basically because that's just kind of how it had to function, or is he gonna succeed in making an everything app? He's used that term several times, or is it just gonna completely go bankrupt because it was just such an unwise financial decision.
Clock's ticking. I don't know. I'm not a Twitter user, so Tim.
I'm not hardly either. I basically have people post stuff, and then I would look at the notifications. That's about my extent on Twitter.
I have a little theory, and all of this, by the way, there's a chance we might edit some of this out. I don't know, but I have a little theory that specifically like COVID and or the cave diver thing was a time that Elon felt very bullied, you know, and if you know about his past, you know, he was bullied to nearly death, literally in his childhood. And I think all of a sudden he's feeling that same way with, you know, people trying to, you know, get with the cave diver thing, and then with COVID and with the restrictions and with lashing out against that and kind of the cancel culture idea, you know, stuff like that. And I think a lot of this is a response to that. Is he got very triggered, and now it's a feedback loop. Yeah. And it's him you know, putting more out there, so therefore it's easier to get pushed back on, and it's just feeding itself. And I really hope that in the future, like, he can get re-inspired by his bigger missions, you know, accelerating the world's, you know, climate crisis, or, you know, the solutions to the climate crisis, and trying to get humans to Mars. Like, I think if he, I think there's a chance this will blow over a little bit. You know, I think everything in life is cyclical, or whatever you were saying, Ben, with the great
good book
or whatever.
teaches
the
us.
Good book. And I think there's a chance that he recovers from this and realigns his focus. And maybe just right now it's just a distraction. It's all a reaction to what has happened in the last 2 years. And, you know, I don't know, maybe he gets on Lex Friedman's podcast, and Lex has one of his amazing conversations with him where he reminds him, what are you doing to help spread love? And it helps him remember that there's more to life than than trolling people on Twitter.
Yeah. And Lex says it in this very slow, soft voice that he has.
You know what I think I love about the way that when Lex says, what are you doing to spread love in the world? When he says that, if anyone else said that, I would think that's the least thought-provocative, the most like
insincere
poster on the wall of like a mall thing you'd
Success.
ever. Yeah, exactly. Hang on there, kitty, or whatever. Like all that kind of crap.
Yeah.
Like, I'd think it's just that. But when you put it in context of his conversations and his thoughtfulness and his what he has in a conversation with someone, and he says that, it's like there's actually like an insane amount of weight behind that statement, and I just love it. It's almost always like this, like, yeah, what are you doing to spread love in the world? You know, like, I love that guy. I love that guy.
Have you ever met him?
I have not met him yet. No.
Joe, have you met him? Are we sure he's real? Because he kind of looks like a robot. He seems like a robot to me. Yeah, like he's almost like an AI.
What if he's just a hologram and a brilliant AI? Yeah. I mean, that's what his background is. Maybe it is.
Where do you think it goes, Joe? Do you think Twitter survives?
You know, honestly, I don't have a skin in this game. I like I said, I go on Twitter and I respond to notifications. So actually, when you were talking, Tim, earlier about all the bots and stuff, I don't know. I don't guess I really experienced that much. Like, how are you experiencing the bots? Is it in response to your posts, or
literally,
or is it people pretending to be you, kind of thing?
Yeah, all the above. It's funny, like,
because I mean, YouTube has that too.
Yeah,
I see it on YouTube.
Really bad problem with it right now. But it was really bad for a while. Like, anytime I'd respond to something or anything, especially if I respond to Elon, it would automatically be like 7 comments within the first 5 seconds, you know, and they'd all be Bitcoin scams basically. And I'd always go through and report them, trying to like think.
Did they take your photo and do that? I know I've seen.
Yeah, sometimes they do. Yep.
Yeah, because that would be a very easy one to prevent. Like photos, when it boils down to it, is zeros and ones, and you can create a hash value out of it, so you can see in like a string of numbers if this photo is the same as that photo. And comparing numbers is very simple operation to do, so you can do it at scale, which is cool. Which is almost like if I upload, like I have a video going out tomorrow, and I mention a reference to Linus Tech Tips in it, and I thought, oh, I would love to show that one little bit of the video from his that I mentioned. I'm like, oh wait, no, that's stupid, because that would immediately be content strike, and that's a video, right? And video is way harder to process than just a single avatar. Like simple controls like that would be super easy to implement to where nobody could reuse your photo, you know?
Right. Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There's ways to fix this problem, but the question is, where does it go? I would not be surprised if Twitter goes the way of MySpace, actually, which is still around, right? Justin Timberlake bought it, if you remember, and tried to turn it into a music streaming platform and didn't work. I would not be shocked. I would not be shocked if that's where Twitter goes. Elon tries to pivot it into Cash App kind of a thing, Venmo kind of a thing, because obviously is that background with PayPal and stuff. And it's just like, people are like, what? I'm not going to use that. And then that's it. That's the death of it. You know, like it may still exist. I would not be surprised. I'm not saying I want that to happen, but I could very easily see that happening. Like this massive pivot and flop, you know? And I just want Elon to get back to Tesla and SpaceX. You know what I mean? Like,
well, it's also, I mean, Facebook's not doing too great right now either. You know? I mean, I think maybe social media has a shelf life, and maybe we're going to start. I mean, we've certainly seen it happen before. Like you just mentioned the MySpace thing. Maybe there's going to be some new thing and we all switch over to that. Like it reaches critical mass and next thing you know, we're all over there, you know?
Well, like Snapchat still exists, right?
Or guys, sorry, I feel like I got really close to the mic and really loud. You know, the pandemic really made us all isolate and overuse social media. We like relied on it to engage and blah, blah, blah and socialize. And now I think we all are super sick of it. We all hate Zoom calls and stuff. And like, it's just horrible. And like, what if there's just made it all go like, well, I'd rather just go hang out with my friends and like,
yes,
act like I'm hanging out with them on Snapchat or, you know, Instagram,
and everyone
whatever.
deletes
Like,
Twitter, and there you go.
I mean, I personally feel like I use that stuff less, and I just have been trying to spend more time with friends and family, and like now that I can, I like that more. You know, I don't know.
I've been trying to do that too. Yeah.
Well, can we talk about AI taking over the world for a second?
Yeah.
That would be sweet. I just want to
That's been
automate
a
my
thing this
job.
year.
You know?
It's coming soon at this point. Holy crap! Have you seen like the script reading stuff, like scripts MKBHD do? Oh,
That's it. I've got it
look
here.
at this! You've already got it pulled up. I haven't actually tried this yet, but I've seen a lot of people like in Discord and stuff do it, and it's pretty awesome.
Okay, so I've got ChatGPT here, which is the latest hotness from OpenAI. And
Where do you find this, by the way?
the internet. Duh.
How do I get on the web?
You got to put the
Yell
disk
at the
in.
computer. Yeah, I put the disc in.
Hang on just a second.
What's a simple spaceflight term that I could ask ChatGPT to explain to me?
Ooh. Have it explain full flow stage combustion cycle.
I said easy.
I want to test it a little bit.
Combustion cycle.
It's like I can't spell that.
Is there more to that? Like, would it know what that means?
Maybe say explain the full flow.
For rockets,
Maybe for
or
rocket
something?
engine.
Yeah, for like, might just be like, well, I don't know, need more context. All right, let's see what this works. So I'm asking ChatGPT, which is this OpenAI chat bot, to explain full flow stage combustion cycle for rocket engines, and I have no idea what's going to happen. Everyone else said it's incredibly impressive, so we'll see what's happening.
Watch, it's just like a diaper used for 16 minutes.
Okay. So, well, Tim, let me explain it to you. The full flow stage combustion cycle is a type of rocket engine design that allows for more efficient propulsion by taking advantage of the high pressure created during combustion. In this type of cycle, all of the propellant is first sent through a pre-combustion chamber where it is heated and vaporized. The resulting hot gas is then sent through a main combustion chamber where it is mixed with additional fuel and ignited. This combustion process generates a large amount of pressure, which is used to push against the engine's nozzle and produce thrust.
Is that right?
How'd I do?
I mean, there's a few things that I don't love the language on, but generally it's pretty darn good. But there are some things that are, yeah.
So what would you change about it? Like, what's off?
Okay, so let's go through it. The full flow stage combustion cycle is a rocket engine design that allows for more efficient propulsion by taking advantage of the high pressure created during that's fine. It's not necessarily but that's fine. In this type of cycle, all of the propellant is first sent through a pre-combustion chamber, a pre-burner. I mean, that's true. Pre-combustion chamber, sure, where it's heated and vaporized. Okay, that's fairly true. The resulting hot gas is then sent through a main combustion chamber. That's true. Whereas mixed with additional fuel and ignited. That's not true. There is no additional fuel. It's all, everything has been pre-burned, both fuel and oxidizer. So it's kind of missing the.
So it just is ignited. It's not mixed.
Yeah, it's kind of acting like it's like first in a chamber here, then in another chamber. It's kind of missing that there's two chambers, one for fuel and one for oxidizer, and they arrive. There's no additional things being added after the pre-burners. Everything that goes through the pre-burners go to the main chamber. The combustion process generates a large amount of pressure, which is true, which is used to push against the engine's nozzle and produce thrust, which is true. It's kind of a little funny to say that, to push against the nozzle and produce thrust. It also pushes against the combustion chamber, but yeah.
Let's see if ChatGPT thinks this is a good idea. This is where, because this is supposed to be like a bot that you chat with. It is generally considered a good idea to use a full flow stage combustion cycle in a rocket engine because it can lead to more efficient propulsion. This is because
basically repeating it.
Okay, yeah, it's just kind of
regurgitated.
Yeah, tell them what you told them. Tell them.
Maybe say like, is it hard to make one?
Let's see if it understands the context.
To make one. Yeah.
I think that's the idea. It should be conversational, right?
Oh, wow.
Okay.
Oh.
Okay.
This is fantastic, actually. Do you want to read it?
Yeah. Building a rocket engine that uses full flow stage combustion cycle can be complex and complex and challenging task. See, it's easy. It's better at writing than I am at speaking. It requires a high level of engineering expertise and precision to design and manufacture the various components of the engine, such as the pre-combustion chamber, the main combustion chamber, and the nozzle. Additionally, the materials used in the construction of these components must be able to withstand the extreme temperatures and pressures generated during combustion. As a result, building a full-flow stage combustion cycle engine can be a difficult and time-consuming process.
I mean,
that's time do you have to build this thing?
That's generally a great thing. I mean, that's bang on. I only wish it had talked about pumps and like turbines or pumps or something, but other than that, like, dang, that's amazing.
What about the pumps?
Wow. He just typed the words, what about the pumps? I'm very curious. Like, this is crazy. I haven't really seen it.
So it has the ability to know the context of that question based off of its most recent answer.
Yeah. Well, because
Correct.
we're in a conversation here.
That's amazing.
So, and the answer, it's like,
wow.
Right? It's saying the pumps are an important component that help deliver the propellant, yada, yada. Pumps be able to operate. The pumps must be able to operate at a high pressure.
This is crazy. This is cheating for kids that don't want to do homework on steroids. Like, are you kidding me? I could go back to college and just use this and it'd be totally fine. That's insane.
How does this compare to an aero spike?
Oh my gosh.
Engine. Is that how you spell aero spike?
AERO. Yeah, there
That's
you
what
go.
it is.
Yeah.
AERO, right?
It was like lagging for a second. Yep.
Yep.
AERO. Yep, you got it.
An arrow's pike.
Aero. Is that right or not?
Yep, that's right.
Yeah, I think
okay.
that's right.
And that's a rocket engine, we'd call it. There's not a different word.
Yeah, this
besides
would be
engine.
tricky because if it gets this right, like technically you can have a full flow aerospike. Like they aren't two exclusive things. You could have a full flow aerospike.
Yeah. A different design. Okay,
No.
so an aerospike rocket engine is a type of rocket engine that uses a different design than a full flow stage combustion cycle engine. In an aerospike engine, the nozzle is not a fixed shape, but instead formed by the surrounding air. This allows the engine to maintain its efficiency at a wide range of altitudes, whereas a full flow stage combustion cycle engine typically has a fixed nozzle shape that is optimized for a specific altitude. As a result, an aerospike engine can be more versatile than a full flow stage combustion cycle engine, but it may also be more complex and challenging to design and build.
It's not the worst thing I've heard. Again, I think that's a general consensus. People might not understand that they aren't mutually exclusive. They absolutely could have a full flow aerospike, but that is seriously impressive. I think I could probably tweet that and only have a few pedants,
well,
correcting me, frankly. You know what I mean?
Had you asked me that question, had you asked me that same question, I would not have got anywhere near that answer.
I'm just going to start tweeting this. When people ask me a question, I'm just going to throw it into here and just copy paste and be like, job done. I don't have to think anymore at all.
And we just need to hire or build another bot to do that for you. Right?
Yeah.
So someone tweets a question at you, it spits it in here and just spits out the answer. And
oh my God.
We can just go play golf. There it is.
Done. That'd be great. Yeah. How are you guys feeling about this whole AI thing? Joe, you using it for scripts yet?
No, but I want to do a video that is 100% AI, where it's like I use something like this to generate the script. We do a deep fake on my face based off of all the videos that I've done. It can fake your voice as well.
Yeah.
Like, there's got to be a way of putting all those things together and just having it like make a video. I wouldn't get into the habit of it, but I think it'd be interesting to at least show that as a demonstration kind of thing.
There's, I think it's called Synthesis or Synthesia or something. There is an app. I don't want to call it an app. Some kind of software that does this, where you actually upload like video of yourself talking, and it creates a transcript, and then you can change those words, and it will recreate the video of you talking, saying those new words. It's not super good. I'll say that. Like, it would be very obvious it's not real.
That's fine for the purposes of what I want to do.
Yeah. Yeah. I liked how MKBHD did it, where he read the whole thing, and then he's like, actually, you just did listen to a video written by a whatever.
I've seen some that do like dialogues. I tried one time. I could still do this, but I was going to do something I was going to call middle button theater. So you know how on your keyboard on your phone it kind of does that auto predict thing, and it puts the 3 different words up top. And if you just like hit the middle button over and over and over again, it'll like sort of form a sentence that it kind of like repeats things over and over again. But I was like, what if I just like did that over and over and create a script out of it? Not a video script, but maybe like a scene, like a dialogue scene or something. And I did it one time. I just kind of have a script of it, and it's stupid, but that's the point, you know.
Yeah.
I still would like to do that.
That's awesome.
What about you, Tim? Are you using it at all? I mean,
I played around, when DALL-E AI or whatever, art I played around with the art generator one quite a bit at first when it first dropped, or the light version or whatever. This is one of those things where I'm like, obviously this is where things are going, and it's just going to get scarier and scarier. Like Elon Musk riding a skateboard. Is he holding another skateboard?
Wait, he's on a skateboard holding another skateboard.
Holding another person on another skateboard very casually, like it's a camera.
And that, like,
it is. I didn't even know that.
And that like person's hands are also a skateboard or something. I don't know. Yeah. So this is Jasper AI, which is something I have actually used to create like video titles. So you can do kind of things like this, like a video title. So let's say the best accessories, probably spelled it wrong, for rocket engines. I don't know. And click generate. And there you go. 10 best rocket engine accessories you need to know about. 3 essential rocket engine accessories for safety. I think it's great.
For safety. Oh, man. That's
how to choose the best rocket engine accessories. Yeah. So I like Jasper. Yeah, go ahead.
Do one like, just say, what's your video about? Say the Rivian R1T.
Rivian R1T review, maybe?
Yeah, I think you say Rivian.
Oh, whoops.
Rivian.
All right, Rivian R1T, I gave it no other inputs.
Yeah.
The Rivian R1T electric truck, the game changer, versus the Tesla Cybertruck. Who wins? 10 reasons why you love.
Oh my gosh!
I mean, these
aren't bad.
Yeah,
yeah.
Like,
these are all. It explains those one videos like game over that are just like every day posting a new
it happened
thing.
It finally happened.
My brother-in-law, who is also does a lot of stuff on YouTube and a very smart person, sent me one of those videos like 2 days ago as a serious thing about Elon Musk building tiny homes. And I was like, are you serious? Like, dude, these are all total scam channels. He's like, what? Oh my gosh, I feel so stupid. It's like he's so smart. Like he should not have fallen for that. You know, he's like, oh, I just can't keep up with everything Elon's working on. Maybe it was real. I'm like,
yeah,
I guess that's the problem, huh?
Well, that's what those people are banking on, is that, and as connected and as up to the date as we are compared to so many people, it's still hard to sometimes, like, I'll see those, I'm like, what? Really? And then I'm like, oh, god damn, you know.
I know. Yeah.
No, really, he made a warp engine.
Yeah, I was just gonna say, it's always warp drive. Game over.
I'll never. I keep referring to this one, but it was just so ridiculous and over the top. There was one that claimed he built the Egyptian pyramids.
Oh
Yes.
my God.
I wouldn't put it. I mean,
what was that? What was
he's
that
a
article?
genius.
What was that fake article you were just about to show?
Okay, this one here. So this is a website. So speaking of, this is a website that my friend Adam created, and this is in AI terms old. He did this a few years ago. He created this website. It's called, and you guys can go check it out, newsyoucan'tuse.com.
All the AI generated fake news that's fit to print.
Yeah,
That's funny.
yeah. And you can see it's very New York Times looking.
Yeah.
And yeah, he has a whole thing like try the quiz, like see if this is a real article or not. But so he has like a bot that scans the New York Times and several other sites and then just creates new articles and publishes them here. Like this is like this photo is like some random stock image photo attached to this thing, you know, and for people just listening, imagine you're looking at the New York Times and it looks very real. And the headline here is high-end real estate agents allegedly charge a $2,850 fee for apartments they targeted for low-income buyers. And you click on it, and nothing happens. Oh, is it just there?
You're already in it.
I'm already in it, yeah. And then it's like this whole giant article with like dialogue, you know, and all this stuff. And
Quotes.
And if you were to read through this, it would be deceptively accurate, you know, or real sounding, you know. And he, being a good steward of the internet, has a little thing on the right. He said, yep, this is all fake, everything on the site except for this little bit right here. You
think people are going to read that, though?
Well, I mean, it is called newsyoucan'tuse.com.
I know.
You know.
It's too good, though. This is already scary. And if this is old.
Yeah, this is fairly, I mean, it's still running, essentially. But, yeah, you can look up any topic here, and it just creates these out of nowhere.
Could the argument be made that even if the AI technology isn't perfect yet, it's already having an effect on our social discourse, because anything that you say or point somebody to as a source or proof of whatever your argument might be, they can already people are like, oh, that's fake.
Yeah.
That's AI. Or like you can't prove otherwise.
Yeah, it's going to be scary.
I made a video a while back about living in a post-truth world, and I think that's a thing.
Now with we've talked about deep fakes being a problem and stuff. Now with like people will be able to not even believe whether or not a thing, you know, shown from a president or something or a politician is real. Even like that's what's crazy. Like, no, he took it down off Twitter or or something like that. Like, yeah, or was it actually there in the first place? You know, like all these things. It's crazy.
Yeah, truthiness. Yeah. It's yeah. So that's a big question. You know, I remember talking to some of my friends that were really big into Bitcoin early on about this idea of using blockchain as a way to create a source of the truth, essentially.
Like verification.
Yeah, because it's easy to create a fake anything nowadays, like you're saying, right? I would say certain video is certainly harder. Like if you guys watch the Corridor Crew on YouTube, they do some incredible things.
I love them.
Yeah, but there's still signs. Like I don't know, you could fool a lot of people, but I don't know if you could do it perfectly to where somebody wouldn't pick it out as being fake. But like we have to have some system to know what's real and what's not. And sometimes I would argue that that's somewhat subjective, you know, like Did we put a man on the moon? Sure. Did these certain things happen on the moon? Did they learn this? Did they learn that? It's like, well, I mean, okay, maybe. You know what I mean? Like, you start to get to the nuance of the discussion, and all of a sudden, whether something is true or not isn't totally black and white. It's a little bit like, well, I guess you could say that. Like your Chat GPT, it pushes against the nozzle. You're like, well, sure, I guess. Right?
Right.
So is that the truth? Or is there a different version of the truth? And how do you know what's real? It's like you have to have some sort of consensus or oracle or something that is like, oh yeah, that really happened because this thing said so. Yeah,
It's crazy.
Well, we're
guys.
seeing a lot right now because of the ChatGPT stuff. I think it's just getting a lot of attention recently. I don't know if there's any specific event that catalyzed that or whatever, but that Lensa app that everybody's like getting their pictures AI'd into other things and putting it up. So there's been this whole debate around that. For one thing, you're giving them your photos and they can do whatever they want with them. You're kind of signing over the rights to your image. So there's a little stickiness there. But the other thing that I keep hearing people getting upset about is that it's taking images that other artists have done and using that as sort of like inspiration and not giving them credit for it. And I think this is a really interesting debate because isn't that what people do? Isn't that what we all do? We take in inspiration from the things that we see and we hear, and then we like turn it into something new. The only caveat to that was I think in some of these Lensa things they actually have like the
I saw that.
The artist's signature is on there.
Or like a scribble.
They kind of forgot to take that off.
A signature, even. Yeah.
What's
The AI doesn't.
But it's an interesting debate.
What's the Shakespeare quote? Good artists copy, great artists steal.
Yeah.
Right. And
Yeah.
I mean, it's a good point. I haven't thought of it that way. I mean, look at say Elvis or the Rolling Stones. Their first couple albums were not even songs that they came up with. You know what I mean? It was just you had a white guy singing it instead of a black guy. So,
Elvis didn't write any of his music, did he?
Oh, I don't know, but like certainly the Rolling Stones is like basically all Chuck Berry songs. So you're looking at it going, is that inspired by? And like I think you turned me on to this a long time ago, Joe. Like we're all doing some form of Zave Frank. Right, the old original YouTuber guy. It's like you watch it and you're like, oh, that's so Casey Neistat just did what that guy did, basically, right, or whatever.
Put his own twist on it. I mean, it kind of gets into the questions of what is creativity, like how, what is the nature of
right?
all that?
Tim's doing his Carl Sagan, right?
Exactly. Darn
billions and billions.
Yeah, where does AI play into the creative world that we live in?
I think just increasingly more and more, honestly.
Well, I've already used it to help with thumbnails.
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't remember if it was Midjourney or DALL-E. It was probably one of each, but yeah, there was a video. So I did that video on Göbekli Tepe on the main channel, and then I did sort of a follow-up video on the TMI channel where I was talking about there was apparently a skull cult that lived there for a while because they found these like ceremonial skulls that had been decorated and stuff. And so I went into, I guess it was Midjourney, and I said a painted skull with tribal paintings on it or something like that. And it gave me a few options, and I wound up using that in a thumbnail, and it looked great.
I use there's a thing called Luminar AI, which is like a photo editing, but like an AI version of it, where it's like, make my eyes not look red, or, make my skin look better. And it's just like click, 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 click. And it's like, oh yeah, it's amazing,
Yeah.
So you can take like a picture of a car or something and be like, oh, let's like pop it out and change the colors and, add this, change that. Super easy. But I guess it's still me doing it. Like, that's the thing about the whole AI stuff that is interesting. Like the Chat GPT is probably the most impressive thing I've seen. And that whole space called large language models is like the hottest thing on the planet right now. But like a lot of the other stuff I see, it still very much requires a ton of input from somebody. So that's the question, is who's the one that actually created it? The person creating the input or the AI? And I guess time will tell.
Einstein did. Einstein created it.
Elon did. Duh. Because he's created everything.
Invented it.
Duh.
Drive.
So did you guys see there's a little bit of news today I don't know. Today is Tuesday, December 13th is the day of this recording, but I saw it all over my news feed. And actually, I started seeing pieces of it last night. But Joe, do you know what I'm talking about? Ben, you guys know what I'm talking about? Pretty big announcement.
You're going to the moon?
Morocco.
No, I already did that.
Oh, we were talking about that.
Oh,
Yeah, the fusion breakthrough. Did you guys see that?
I got 1,000,001 tweets and emails about it. So, yes, I heard about it. I got a few pulled up here. I don't know which ones you guys have, but yeah, this was at Lawrence Livermore National Laboratory. So, God, I hate to be the cold water guy, but like, any advancement in fusion is great. It's all great news. But of course, the headlines are going to be like, big breakthrough in fusion for the first time. They produced a net gain of energy and all this stuff. We're still a long way away from it actually powering anything. So let's just settle a bit about it. But it's good. It's good news. It's good news. So there's lots of different ways of doing fusion, and the way that these guys are doing it, like for example, ITER, which is being built over in France. It's a big tokamak reactor. Mm-hmm. And then you got the stellarator reactors like the Wendelstein 7X. This was, I think they call it confinement, where they like blast hydrogen with 192 lasers. A BB-sized fuel of pellet of deuterium, which is hydrogen with 2 neutrons. In a brief moment lasting less than 1 trillionth of a second, 2.05 megajoules of energy, roughly the equivalent of a pound of TNT, bombarded the hydrogen pellet, outflowed a flood of neutron particles, which carried about 3 megajoules of energy, a factor of 1.5 in energy gain. I saw somewhere that it's basically enough to run 10 kettles of water, or 10 like coffee kettle things.
megajoules.
Yep.
I read
Can they
that
just
somewhere.
talk
I'm not seeing that here,
BTUs
but-
or kilowatt hours?
That is,
something
I
we're
mean,
used to?
joule is a measurement of heat energy, basically.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So this
similar-
crossed the
you can-
threshold that laser fusion scientists call ignition, the dividing line between where energy generated by fusion equals the energy of the incoming lasers that start the reaction. That's always been the problem. Is like we've been able to do fusion for a long time. The problem is that you're not getting out as much energy as you're putting in, which is the whole point. This was kind of a breakthrough because they were able to do it for the first time. Now it's a little bit, and there's a long way to go before it could be scaled up to something that could actually power neighborhoods and stuff like that. But
Well, the other part of it, they didn't capture any of the energy. Right?
what do you mean by that?
They only recorded that amount
Oh,
of
they were.
energy.
Oh,
output.
yeah.
So like,
it
they
didn't
still
like
have
go
yet-
into a line anywhere or anything.
Yeah,
So-
and like there's no. So far they've been able to create more heat than the energy it took to create the heat ish. Because if you also read, it took like a crap ton of. I mean, yeah, they're basically measuring right now the lasers. I think the amount of lasers.
Lasers.
Because that's what I think. I think the lasers required like 100 times that amount of energy, still or something. I don't remember. I feel like it's a long ways off. And then also, they haven't been able to. There's no method of capturing that heat energy back yet. And there's of course going to be some loss there.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, those seem like details, though. Like, it sounds like the big breakthrough was that it actually worked for the first time, right? Like, in terms of the math or the reaction.
Concept,
Yeah.
I guess, yeah.
Yeah. In my head, I'm feeling like sort of, and also the experiment and the building of it and everything costs, probably billions of dollars and whatnot. But think about how much it costed to, can I talk anymore? Think about how much it cost to decode the human genome for the first time. It cost billions of dollars, and
10
now you
years.
can do it for like $100,
Yeah.
So hopefully it follows that sort of trajectory, and maybe in 10, 15 years we'll actually get something powered by a fusion reactor.
Well, but what's the big thing that they've been building out in France forever, like this gigantic fusion
Joe was
reactor?
talking about.
That's ITER.
That is. Oh, okay. Oh, wow. Okay, so that whole
ITER,
big,
yeah.
that whole big thing to zap a BB.
No, that's a totally different thing.
Okay,
This was
so-
at Lawrence Livermore here in the United States.
Oh, okay, right. Okay, so that's what I'm getting. So they started building this thing a while ago, some big mega fusion project, without knowing it was going to work. Like,
So there's
Yeah.
fusion is really
right?
interesting.
If this
Actually,
was like,
yeah,
hey,
I mean,
it finally worked once.
Yeah.
What about those 8 billion? And then what does that say about the approval process? Like, who the hell?
So fusion obviously is about getting two hydrogen atoms to come together and form a helium atom, and it's all about just forcing them together hard enough to where they pop and do their thing. And there's different ways of doing that. So in the tokamak reactors and the stellarator reactors, it's all about generating a plasma that's like, I don't know the percentage, but like way hotter than the sun, like just creating this ridiculously hot plasma field that's held in place by magnets, so that it doesn't melt everything down, So they just use like just brute force heat to try to make the atoms come together. And in something like this, and I may be using the wrong word, somebody's screaming at their dashboard right now, but it's more of a compression thing. So they take a tiny little pellet of deuterium and they use the heavier hydrogen with the more neutrons in it, because those are more likely they have more mass, so they can smash together more easily. But it's more of a compression thing. So they have this tiny little pellet, and they blast it with lasers all the way around it to create an explosion that like crushes it all together.
Yeah.
And so you got this
That's
tiny
my
little
understanding,
thing,
too.
and it produces energy. But like
Yeah.
to scale that up, I mean, I don't know if you would need like hundreds of those kinds of little BB compression things going all the way around or what. But that's one of them that does it like that. There's one called, I think, Commonwealth Energy, that has sort of almost like a shotgun approach where it's almost like
Yes.
a particle smasher kind of
That
deal. You know what I'm
one's
talking
really
about?
cool. Yeah. Do you
So there's several different ways of doing it.
Have you, okay, so that, if we're talking fusion technology, that's actually the one that gets me most excited. Is it's almost turning it into like a the brilliance here, and the reason that it might actually work really well is it's really hard to have a sustained nuclear fusion reaction. Like all of a sudden you have to contain this heat. Not only have to contain it safely, but then you also still have to be able to somehow extract the energy of the heat, and all this stuff. And just the scale of all this stuff is insane. And what they're trying to do is basically kinetically ram into each other, and that kinetic, almost like a particle accelerator, ram the two, the molecules together so they do their reaction, and then let the pulse, like that's it. They only let them react, but then the pulse as it goes backwards, from one end and then back the other way, almost like a
creates
boxer
another
engine.
one.
They use that to charge up the magnets that they would use. Like it's almost like an electric motor. How an electric motor run in reverse as a generator,
Right.
So they're using these magnets to accelerate, and then they use the energy field to recharge those magnets and get energy back. And it just kind of keeps doing that, or that's the theory. Is it keeps smashing and so the energy actually is coming from the two hydrogen or the hydrogen molecules combining and turning into helium and that fusion reaction, but it's able to actually do this reciprocating motion that I think that's awesome.
And that's how you get Iron Man.
Probably
That's how you get it. Just plant it in somebody's chest, and then
What's that one called? You said
Commonwealth Energy, I believe, is the one I'm thinking of.
Is it like
because-
Washington or something?
I can tell you guys that nuclear fusion is a process in which atomic nuclei combine to form a heavier nucleus.
Oh, did you do that? You know what? I actually did that a minute ago, and I totally forgot about it. I have it right up here on my screen. I hit GPT chat for it, and
Yeah.
That's amazing.
I asked, what's the newest in fusion energy technology? And it says, as a large language model trained by OpenAI, I don't have access to the latest information on developments in fusion energy technology.
This
However, I
occurs.
can tell you that fusion energy is a promising source of clean and plentiful energy. Yeah.
The one bit I liked is they invoked Einstein here. It says when the nuclei fuse together, some of their mass is converted into energy according to Einstein's famous equation E equals mc squared.
Oh, mine doesn't reference Einstein.
Dang.
I just said, how does nuclear fusion work?
Oh, okay.
Wow.
Yeah.
I was asking for the latest info.
What will happen to Twitter now?
Now that it's Elon. Let's go.
This just got removed.
My system just crashed. What happened? That's not the question you should be asking, Ben.
So the ultimate, I will ask the ultimate question then when on the last little thing here on fusion. So do you think this will actually be something we see in our lifetime yet? Are you guys getting that confident, or is it still that big of a bathtub curve situation where it's like, oh God, we just hit the little itty bit here, of it. We have a mountain to climb still. Yeah, how are you guys feeling now?
Honestly, I think it will. I don't know that it would in my lifetime be the thing that takes over and we have like the solar punk future that we all want where it's all clean energy and whatnot. Like, I don't think it'll quite get there, but I think the social momentum is there, that the need for it is there. And there's so many private industries now that are getting, like I just mentioned Commonwealth. There's another one that I'm blanking on, but Bill Gates is behind it. But it's one of those things where like enough money is flowing into it and we are starting to see little chipping away at it here and there with all these different ways of doing it. Cause like for the longest time, they were kind of just doing it a couple of different ways. And now they're trying all these other ways of doing it. I think in my lifetime, assuming I don't get hit by a car tomorrow, some kind of fusion, commercial fusion will be a thing.
Ben?
I like the idea. I hope it can work. I feel like we're maybe a breakthrough or two away still. I was just looking this up because it was, I think, like 75 years ago when the transistor was created. And the transistor being the most manufactured thing in human history that has changed our world like as much as fire. It's crazy, right?
Yeah. I
feel like that's what you're talking about with fusion. You know, it would be something that would just so dramatically alter the course of human history. I greatly hope that it could work, you know. But then, of course, there's the question, like, there's always the actual technology, and then there's how it's implemented and how it's controlled. Like I would argue the internet, as good and as many people tried to make it this beautiful thing, have failed in large part, because the corporations took over and it became about making money. And so the fear I would have is that something like this, a technology which in theory could completely solve so many of humanity's problems, would still be subject to a lot of the same influence and control that the systems that the world has created around it.
But it being a profitable thing and like a profit-centered technology, actually, I think in this case will help drive innovation and
but like if you just look at, say, oil and how oil works, there's not like a reason oil should be the price it is. It's manipulated to be that price because so many other things depend on it. And that would be my fear, is like this would be a technology that would be not just universally released and whatever. So I agree. I see how powerful it is, and that scares me. You know, it scares me because when something's that powerful and it could, like, say, wipe out most of the world's need for something like oil, there are going to be people that don't want that to happen. You know.
There's also an argument to be made that with renewables getting cheaper and cheaper and cheaper, by the time fusion becomes something that, you know, could actually power some cities and stuff, it still would be probably a very expensive technology, and maybe by that point
you're like, what's the point?
Yeah. I've heard that's kind of one of the things that's, I don't want to say hurting the development of regular fission nuclear power, that like it's just so expensive, and renewables are just cheaper than that right at this point. You know.
Well, I think the one thing that renewables have going for it that these other solutions don't is the decentralized nature of it.
I was going to say that too.
I mean, because that's, in my mind, the scalable way to do things, right? The thing I loved about my old house was that we had our own power plant. You know, we did a test and went off grid for 5 days without changing our behavior at all. Like, it's just amazing that you can really do that, you know?
Yeah,
so
that's awesome.
When it becomes affordable enough, or the government just forces people to do it, where every house has a battery and solar panels, you know, it might be a hard pill to swallow. Be like, wait, how much is this going to cost? How about we just like subsidize people getting these things, and then if it goes down and fails, you don't have like any kind of disaster that could happen, nor do you have an entire 3 million people are without power. Granted, there's problems and challenges in both solutions, but I think the decentralized one is what I would lean towards. So I mean, that's a good point. You know.
Same. I think we pretty much covered that, and I'm excited though. I do feel like, but you bring up a good point though with the whole renewable energy stuff getting just so cheap and prolific now. Like, yeah, if someone can pay an extra $20,000 to have their home run itself, then like, do we even need anything else? You know, I don't know.
Yeah.
I mean, we're ways away from that still, but you know, that definitely at this rate, it feels like in 15, 20 years, like it should be really easy to be self-sustained, you know, off the grid
Well,
if you want to.
and it depends where you live, I would say. You know, there's some caveats there, right?
Yeah.
Like I live in
Like
a
me versus you guys.
well, but I'm like in a suburb in a big space. You know, I think you guys are too, right? If you live like in a building in New York,
Right.
Yeah, like you can't really put up solar panels. You know,
Yeah, for yourself.
things like that. So yeah, I think
Yeah.
there will be applications for it. Kind of like water. I have this weird thing. I really want to dig into this idea of how to capture more water to where we're like less reliant. We have this huge problem out here in the Southwest,
Yeah.
and it's like the Colorado water rights are up for renegotiation right now, which has affects something like, I don't know, 15, 20 million people, something like that. Wow. So it's nuts. And so I'm just thinking though, like it's been raining here the past 3 days, and I know people have rain catches and all that, but I'm like, man, there has to be a way to like just capture this stuff and use it. But of course, and we do that already in like big reservoirs. But imagine if you could have a way at your house where you could have a 4x8 piece of grass and somehow be able to store like 10,000 gallons in there, or however much you'd really need. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. I think like, I don't know, to me, at least where I live, that's an immediate thing that I think about a lot is, you know, energy is fine, but I feel like energy is not solved, but like fairly solved, you know, like, you know, it's not a novel problem. It's an existing one that we have solutions for. So,
yeah. Well, dang. What else are you guys looking?
I just want the Mr. Fusion on my car. That's what I want.
Yeah. Okay, so I guess besides Fusion, what are you guys looking forward to in this next year? Huh?
Ooh.
2023.
Why don't you go?
I want to see a starship go into orbit, for crying out loud.
Yeah, that's my number one
Come on,
for
man.
sure. I want to see it not only lift off, but I would love to see a successful one too. I would love, you know, because I don't believe personally. I'll be very surprised if the first one actually reaches orbit, you know, properly and doesn't
Really?
have some kind of failure along the way. You know, whether hopefully not off the pad. Like I really hope that just for the sake of the pad infrastructure itself, but also the licensing at Boca Chica, you know, at Starbase and stuff, and also the setbacks and the safety and our eardrums, like all the reasons, you know. Yeah.
What's up with the arms that are catching it? I think that was the rendering I saw at the Dear Moon announcement, and I was like, okay, so that's real?
Not rendering. I mean, they're there.
Oh, really?
Yeah, they've used
They've
that
already
as their
used it
crane,
to lift
too.
up. Yeah.
A lot. Like they stack
wow.
and destack the rocket off the pad with that thing. It's awesome.
Catching with it is another thing. But.
Yeah, they might not be catching on the first attempt or two, you know, until they prove that they can control the booster on re-entry before they send that booster back to a populated area / their, you know, multi-$100 million launch infrastructure. This is one of those things people have a lot of doubt about, and I generally kind of think it's within the realm of realism. You know,
Well, is the idea it would kind of hover and it grabs it? Like the word catch gets me, you know?
Yeah, it's definitely not like actively like, whoa, 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 you know, like a dad with like a son that threw it.
Or like it's just like it's halfway down. It's like, I'm good. It just cuts off the boosters and just falls into the arms. Like, no way.
No,
That seems
it's
nuts.
really quite literally like it's basically replacing the landing gear. More or less. You can think of it as like slightly mobile landing gear. I think more or less the arms are going to be relatively static, you know, in a relatively fixed position. And the booster's aiming as if we were aiming at a very pinpoint area on the ground. It's going to have to be rolled the right way so the little catching nubs can be caught. And then it just kind of gets down there. And as it gets closer, the arms do close up on it. So, you know, they can be there when it's ready to be caught. And yeah. Then, ta-da.
That'd be
And
amazing.
the
to
arms
see.
have these little sliders on it that can like move it in and out and to position it just right and move it down. It's pretty neat.
Afterwards,
really
they can
cool.
come together and like high five each other.
Yeah.
That'd be awesome. Yeah, it drops and then.
Yeah.
So you think the first launch they'll just kind of like maybe have a spot where they want to land the booster, maybe in the water or something, and they're just like seeing if they can direct it into just the right spot. They'll probably do that a few times before they.
Yeah. I think that has been the plan for a bit. Don't know its current status, but that basically is to do a water landing, similar to how they did with the Falcon 9. You know, for a while the Falcon 9 before they put a drone ship even underneath it, they would let it Just try landing over the water, make sure that it hits the GPS coordinates and at the right velocity, and go, cool. I think we're ready for the next step.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Man.
Did you have any idea the last time when they landed SN15 that it would be this long before we saw something else go up?
Absolutely not. I mean, I was so bummed when
You
they
had just
stopped.
bought a place down there.
Oh my god, I was so bummed when they stopped flying just the SN prototypes like that. I thought for sure they'd land a couple, 2 or 3, and really get it to refly one a couple times, make sure everything's great before they move on. But nope, they just kind of halted and were like, all right, we're going big.
Yeah.
And that is taking a lot longer than probably, quite literally, almost everyone has thought. Yeah.
Oh,
I knew it was going to be a while. I said a lot in 2021 that not to expect it, in 2021. And people were like, how dare you say that? When Shotwell even says it's going to be, Q3 of 2021. And I was like, yeah, no, it's not happening in 2021. Like, there's too much to do. And there's still quite a bit of work to do on the pad and stuff. But it is finally like that checklist of like, have to haves are getting pretty small.
Well,
like
wasn't there something else
more imminent?
Wasn't there something else in 2021 that was supposed to happen?
Cybertruck deliveries.
Someone has some push-ups to do, don't they?
Yeah, Ben.
Yeah, right. No, I've done all the push-ups. Trust me.
We didn't say about the semi-deliveries. I mean, I guess that's noteworthy.
Yeah,
Got delivered.
Something happened.
Yeah,
I didn't. How many? I didn't see, but that's kind of cool.
I think
if
2.
they're, yeah. I'm really.
But they have a megawatt. Did you see the megawatt charger?
Yeah, I was just
And the
going to
fact
say
that the megawatt charger is going to be on Cybertruck.
The most
is cool.
exciting thing is the charger to me.
Yeah.
It's like, oh, cool, big semi truck. I don't care, and honestly, like, I don't know what percent of like CO2 emissions that really saves. Like, sure, we need to electrify everything, but it's almost like Joe and I remember we talked about the plane. Well, maybe we talked about it here on the podcast, but it was like you could try to electrify aviation, but like it is such an insanely hard problem, and it is such a small percentage of the of the problem.
That's
like,
actually a big reason why is trucking is only like 1% of the fleet, but it's like 20% of emissions.
oh, it is okay, yeah.
So
Okay,
it's actually a big. It's a big like a bigger check than a passenger car basically.
Right, yeah, very cool. The charger that I have to see, like, that is because I mean I don't know everything about battery technology, but I know something, and like I just don't see how it's possible. But like,
I can't believe it.
It's so
look the same. It's going to be the same like charger. That's the version
Crazy.
3s. Like literally, it'll look just like that. You'll pull up to a supercharger, and if you have a Cybertruck or a semi truck somehow,
God,
it'll plug.
and you
into
can
the
just
same thing.
grab that. You can just like grab it. Like as a normal person,
Megawatt.
you're allowed to go up to that thing and touch it. Like you could literally, like
Lick it. Come on, lick it. See what happens.
Like you could die changing an outlet in your house. This wouldn't just kill you; it would explode you.
Be like the Ark of the Covenant opening.
Oh my god! Yes.
Oh my
Yep.
God! Yeah.
Well, is
So
that something you're
Cybertruck.
looking forward to? Is Cybertruck maybe being a thing in 2023, Ben?
Yes.
Or are you just
Yes, I'm tired of reviewing blobby SUVs. I want something that is ridiculous.
You want something that you could wedge in between 2 buildings and lift one up?
Yeah.
You have a reservation still, right?
I still have a reservation, yeah.
Yeah,
And I've got my
That's-
reservations about that reservation, but I do have a reservation.
Well, that'll be van part 2. That'll be the real. You'll build
then I
like
would
it.
just I would just build a trailer. That
Right.
would absolutely be the right thing to do. Yeah.
Yeah.
But I don't want to do that. Don't make me do more of that.
If it can
done.
tow, that's going to be the challenge with Cybertruck. Is if it can tow, because that's the
Well,
one.
Megawatt
thing.
charging will help that a lot. Where like, sure, you might only be able to go 130 miles or something, but if you can actually charge at a ridiculous rate, it's not as huge of a hindrance.
Yeah, I still like. It's all fugazi. It's up in the air. I don't know. Like, I'll believe it when I see it. But I mean, come on. And then Roadster, they said next year too. I don't know. I kind of don't
I haven't
believe
heard
that.
anything about that in forever.
Yeah, did they
Well-
say that? I didn't even hear about that.
Same event with the Cybertruck event in Tejas. They were talking about it. But the thing about the Roadster is, like, I wonder how, like, the specs have to be better now because, like, Plaid, I mean, It's almost there. You know, that's like a 5-seater, 4-door SUV or car. Like, so
Yeah.
You know,
how are they gonna do that?
yeah.
They're pretty much at the limit of physics there.
Well, and I have the structural batteries are out there, or whatever, right? Maybe that's the idea. Maybe they can stack 2 of the structural batteries, and that's how you get the added range. I don't know. Like, and remember, it's supposed to fly or something, right? Right?
The cold thrusters.
Yeah, whatever. Just something. Please deliver a new product. It's been,
Not a new product. Deliver the products that you've already released.
Yeah.
You know?
right. Well,
Yeah.
that's yeah. Anyways, that's what I'm excited for next year, if and when. Otherwise, I don't know. In the EV space, there's not really a whole lot. The Kia EV9, I think, would be kind of cool. It'll be like a Rivian R1S size SUV, but from Kia, so
cool.
it'll be cheaper, better built. You know, less. I don't know. Less attitude.
Have we talked about the Hyundai N74 or whatever it's called? Do you know what I'm talking about?
This is the concept car?
Yeah,
Which
the
one is
concept
this?
car that looks like a DeLorean.
Yeah.
I'm not saying that's going to come out in 2023 or anything, but
I want that. I
it's
would
just-
buy that.
that is the
heartbeat.
coolest looking car I've seen
Yes.
in a long time.
Can we just please do that?
Wow. That is cool.
I think it's so cool. Sorry, people aren't getting a visual of this. They're just hearing us drool. A bit. I can do it.
I just want
Your stuff
to.
will probably
I want to
crash.
just like put on a chill wave playlist and look at that thing.
Oh, it's so cool.
Oh, Envision 74. That's what it's called.
Yeah.
I love that they do that too already with the Ionic or whatever, kind of the taillights like that.
Yep.
I think that's awesome. Very cool design language. Very very chic, very retro
Very on
future.
trend.
Right. So this is a DeLorean on the right, isn't it? In this photo, or no?
Looks like it. Or are they just totally blatantly? Yeah.
Actually, no, because they would say DMC, right? DeLorean
Yeah.
Motor Company.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That
HD.
just says nothing. What about you, Joe? Besides the Hyundai Envision 74 concept car, what are you looking forward to next year?
Well, actually, so Stanley put in the Casper put in the little chat there about the Dream Chaser launch coming up this year. I'm super excited about that.
Yeah.
I'm a big fan of the Dream Chaser. I think it's
Yeah.
just a really cool little vehicle.
I forget, is it going to launch inside of a fairing or not? When it's uncrewed?
I thought that was the idea.
Or do they
if it's
fold its
uncrewed, yeah, I
wings?
don't know.
Or does it fold its wings? Dream Chaser.
I think it folds its wings.
Because I feel like last I remember it was supposed to be encapsulated inside a fairing, but I feel like it's changed a few times.
Yeah, I'm
The
not sure
render
what the new
here does
plan is.
show it. There's one render that shows it naked on top of an Atlas V, and I think I saw another render where it showed it inside of a fairing. So I don't know how to feel. Yeah,
You got options, is the point.
yeah.
The,
it's really cool.
This is the one by the Sierra Nevada Corporation for NASA's Commercial Crew Development Program.
Thanks, GPT chat.
The
this.
spacecraft is intended to be launched on top of a rocket.
I love how he doesn't even Google it. He just like posts it into
Yeah.
the AI chat now.
Yeah.
It's so much better. It is so much better.
He sounds so much more informed now.
Could you imagine? This is the future of like TV interviews, right? And so you're sitting there and someone and you have a real, let's say you're on CNN, a Fox or something like a big mainstream media, and you have like a giant teleprompter over here and an assistant off to the side, and they say, what do you think about the Bush Doctrine? And that
Right.
person's like, what is the Bush Doctrine?
Well, let me think about that.
Yeah, and you could train it to like you. So you know what I mean?
Right.
Train it to where it
Lean
sounds.
your
Your
They'd be like,
voice.
well, if you're
inputs.
speaking of the Bush Doctrine, which was enacted in 1996 in response to the NATO crisis, back you're just like, what?
yeah.
Everything is going to sound like that. Every TV interview is just going to be, you know. Or right now, you just have a group of smart people around there just typing furiously.
Yeah, probably is what happens now. But Joe, you are looking forward to Dream Chaser. Anything else next year?
Like personally or in the
I don't know,
world?
in all of it.
Well, I'll tell you, I haven't talked about it publicly that much, but I'm gonna be changing up this whole thing.
Ooh.
I'm gonna have a couple of light months in February and March. Like January's already booked out with sponsors, so I've got to kind of fulfill those. But in February and March, I'm gonna just post a couple of times a month and try to get those done ahead of time. But yeah, I'm gonna like rebuild this whole thing, get a whole new computer. It's gonna look totally different. I'm gonna change things up quite a bit, and I don't know how people are gonna react, but it's gonna happen. So
Oh, people will like it.
You got to join the dark background crowd. Look at us. Look at Tim and me, you know.
You can't
actually,
even
if
see
anything,
me.
I
I'm
might
just
get like LED
floating
lights
head.
in here and stuff.
There you go. Do it.
I liked your top view cam in the last video.
Oh,
That was a new angle. Was that just for that shot, or is it like you now have one there?
oh no, it's just for that shot. I just put my phone on a jib
Yeah.
up above me.
Yeah. I was like, what angle is this? Where did this come from?
Joke.
You know?
I had to scoot myself in, so I'm like right next to the desk. Hey.
Yeah. I'm wearing pants.
Oh no!
Scam. Oh, dang. Well, that brings us to what video are you working on then before the end of the year? Anybody doing anyone gonna squeeze out? I'm sure Joe will squeeze out 4 more videos before the end of the year.
Yes. Yes, he will.
Actually, I've got one more I still need to finish scripting. I've got another lightning round video. I've got a video on Privateer Space, which earlier this year I interviewed Maury Bajah, the co-founder of that, with Steve Wozniak. They're the ones that are tracking all the space debris and basically creating a platform to get rid of space junk.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah.
It's a giant magnet.
Well, they're not. Well, some people might be working on something like that or lasers and stuff, but they're basically developing like a platform that you can use to track the space debris, so that if you wanted to go up and do something about it, you can. Kind of.
They're like the Zillow for.
Yeah, there you go.
What's
For
that saying? Like
orbital speed.
in the gold rush, the only people that made money were those that made shovels or something.
Oh well,
Yeah.
there you go.
It's kind of like you get the data together that enables all these other businesses. Kind of like OpenAI. They create these, the GPT-3 and then the Chat GPT, whatever. And then you have, a billion other companies using that platform to make software that they charge. And it all comes back to licensing it from them, kind of a thing.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's smart.
Yeah.
Also, as I was saying before we hopped on here, I'm going to be doing more like narrative short film type stuff this year. I hope to kind of get back into that world. And I just shot something last month that I don't know when people will see it, but I'm really excited about it. It looks amazing. And it's, I find working on like short films and story stuff is less, I don't know, like doing YouTube videos, everybody's got an opinion on it. And there's always something you can say that's going to trigger people. But if you just make a little story, people don't tend to get that triggered by them as much. So
Yeah.
let's go
And
back
if-
that way.
And if they are, maybe it was intentional. Like that's.
Yeah,
part
it
of
was
the
all
art.
part of the art.
Exactly.
Like what
Exactly.
people take away from something you don't have like all control over.
Yeah.
Right. And with YouTube, it's always, an opinion, but on a piece of art, it's like, you could love it or you could hate it, but like what you take away from it is largely based on you, not based on the artist.
When you do it, well, I don't know about you guys, but when I do a YouTube video, I'm constantly like, okay, what are the comments going to say about this?
Yep.
How are people
Trying
going to
predict
react to
them and
this?
Get ahead of them or avoid them.
Yeah. And I'm always like, no, I know you're going to say something, but wait.
Yeah.
But if you're just telling a story, it's kind of like, well, if you don't like it, whatever.
Yeah.
You don't like it.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah,
You don't need to break that fourth wall.
Yeah.
Exactly.
I just finished scripting the first like full scripted front to back video I've made since like May or June, because I've done 3 other videos, like posted videos about like the building of Luna or like riding in the fighter jet and stuff like that. But those were, I did some scripting for them, but like not like a full blown topical script. So I finished How Do You Start a Rocket Engine? And it's of course 19 pages. So it's going to be like probably about an hour long video. Very in depth, but that's just what I do. No shame. So I'll
Just
be shooting
make
that.
60
shoot that
shorts
tomorrow.
out of it.
Yeah, exactly. 61-minute shorts, but each has like a 10-second lead up and a 10-second summary. So it's like a 15-second summary. Yeah. So that'll be. I'm shooting that tomorrow, and I'm really, 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 really excited. It's a video that I've learned a ton scripting, and that's always that's my threshold of how good a video is like how much did I learn making it. So,
Yeah, totally.
Yep. What about you, Joe? Or Ben, I mean, whoever you
Well,
are.
Come through.
I just learned that there are several steps involved in starting a rocket engine, and the specific process can vary depending on. Dude, this thing. Hold on.
We're out of jobs. I mean,
He's officially outsourcing all of his thinking.
yes.
Well, like, remember.
Ask him what video am I going to make next,
No, but,
Ben, and that's what you're going to have to make next.
but hold on. Look at this. Look at this.
Oh,
Wow.
it actually does step by step.
It has a 5-step process. Once
Let
the
me
engine
see
is-
this. Let me see this.
Okay,
Let me see this. Go
okay.
back. The rocket is fueled with the appropriate fuel and oxidizer for the engine. Okay.
Tim's like, I just spent 2 months writing this script.
The engine's ignition system is activated, which typically involves the use of an igniter to create a spark that will ignite the fuel. Sure. The engine's control system is activated, which controls the flow of the fuel and oxidizer into the engine. Okay. A little weird, but okay. The engine's thrust chamber is pressurized, which forces the fuel and oxidizer into the combustion chamber. No, that's sort of cyclical and wrong. The igniter is triggered, creating a spark that, this is wrong. This is garbage. My video is way better.
Meanwhile, if someone had asked me in that interview and I had read that back, 99% of the people would be like, oh, okay.
It's true. It's true. All right, Ben, ask it. This is what you have to do now. I'm sorry, but I'm making you do this. Just, no, don't do it in that thread. Do it a new thread. Otherwise, it's going to do.
All right.
Maybe just say, like, I make YouTube videos about electric cars. What should I do next? Or what video should I make?
I make YouTube videos.
About renewable technology.
About, I'll just say electric vehicles. I'm trying to read while I'm typing.
What should my next video be about?
What should my next video be about? I'm going to be really mad if it says Cybertruck.
Oh, I can't wait.
That would be great. It probably doesn't have an answer for this.
If it does, I'll be very impressed.
Oh yeah, I don't have
Yeah, there it
specific
is.
knowledge. Yeah, but what if I asked it though?
Create some interesting and informative for your audience.
Oh, wait, did you know it's a good idea to create content that's interesting and informative for your audience?
You could try conducting some research, you jerk. It's like or asking your
Some
audience
people
for
pay
feedback.
for this kind of knowledge.
Yeah, exactly. I'm not your free YouTube video guru.
Right.
What are the most exciting? I'm reading what he's saying. What are the most exciting electric vehicles?
Yeah, I guess that's fine. I was going to try to say, available for sale,
production or something.
Yeah, something like that.
Oh, another generic.
But I bet if I asked how do electric vehicles work, it would give me an answer. Oh wait,
Yep.
some examples. Okay, so it's doing. So
I
it
want to
says
use that as my disclaimer from now on whenever somebody asks my opinion. Well, as a large language model trained by OpenAI, I don't really know the answer to this, but
That's amazing.
some examples.
Wow.
This is. I'm just gonna be stuck here talking to this thing, training it. Because when you're typing stuff in, you're training it, right? And then in the end, I won't have a job. I don't really have a job, anyways. So I think.
Can you?
Yeah.
No.
You got one more?
This joke was not worth interrupting it.
Oh.
I was going to say, can you train it to know which pictures have a stoplight in it
Yeah.
to prove that it's a robot?
Yeah. No, I've got a video tomorrow about EV accessories, just in time for the holidays. And then I'm actually taking a bit of a break, as I like to do. And I actually hired a strategist from YouTube, from video creators, from Tim Schmoyer's company.
Oh, yeah.
Because I'm trying to settle the debate that I've had internally forever of, is my channel me exploring these sustainable technologies? Like, I don't know if I told you, but I got another water generator thing, like those panels I had on my roof, but this one just plugs in to my house, and I just have it there, and it's just, and And so I've been collecting data on that and using that for about a month now. So things like that. Is my channel me doing that, or is me trying to be a car reviewer and not knowing much about cars, but having experience with them, but like still not understanding much about them. So I don't know. So so I'm going to sit down with him and try to figure out. I would prefer just to like find cool, weird tech and talk about that. That sounds way more exciting. As fun as EVs are, like most of them, like I mentioned, are just kind of these blobby SUV things, with the exception of a few of them. So, and I feel like the electric vehicles are a solved thing, essentially.
I feel like you answered your own question there. Like, why are you doing what you want to do?
Well,
because nobody watches those.
Yeah, ding. And it's heartening to see other people that are just diehard Tesla channels, and then they do something on not a Tesla and it just flops. I'm like, my life,
It's tough.
Yeah, I mean, going back to the Elon discussion we had earlier, a big reason why I stopped covering Tesla was just because I didn't want to be associated with like him and whatever he has going on. You know what I mean? Because literally every person I would meet would like ask me about him or whatever, and I'm just like, dude, I don't care. I don't want to,
Well, and regardless of your personal opinion, like we were saying, it's just so polarizing. It's just.
Well, and you never want to be tied to any one thing.
Yeah.
Anyway, like no matter who or what it is, like I've been trying to get more and more into the very generic spaceflight topics. Why doesn't a rocket engine melt? How do you power a rocket engine? How do you start a rocket engine? And those have actually been doing really well, which is good. So,
give me a second here. I'll give you an answer.
But yeah, I'm excited to hear how that video turns out and how the future of the channel looks.
Can I suggest something for 2023?
Yeah,
let's all get together.
Yeah,
let's just get together somewhere.
In real
we don't have to
person.
record anything. It doesn't have to be a whole thing. Let's just get together.
Yeah, I need that.
I want to see your
would love
faces.
that. Let's do it.
Yeah, it sucked not having you there fully charged, Tim. Me and Joe got to hang out. It was nice.
Yeah,
And I realized it didn't make sense, and I don't, blame me for not going. But like, I was like, it just was like, Joe's here. Where's Tim? So
yeah, that was busy boy time for me.
Yeah.
Holy crap.
yeah, don't do that.
I know. I'm trying not to. I'm actually denying some live stream opportunities just so I can finally get normal work done. And I'm already getting more work done in the last 2 weeks than I have in the last 6 months, frankly, as far as like that stuff goes.
Yeah.
So,
yeah.
Yep. It happens.
Well, cheers, boys. It's great talking to you as always. Looking forward to it
You guys.
next year.
Happy holidays.
Yes. Happy holidays. Merry Christmas.
Tell the audience
Happy
as
New
well.
Year's.
We love you guys.
All the things. Yep.
Absolutely.
Have a good one. And hope you guys, hope to see you guys in
Our
ludicrous
future.
2023.
2023.